Hello, and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. I'm Tracy, also known as MercyTiara, and I share scrapbooking process videos, project shares, tips and tricks, unboxings, and more here on my channel. Today, I'm working with the Summer Vibes kit from MercyTiara Kits. The link is in the description below as well as on your screen here. And today, I'm going to be using the sketch from our Facebook group. Every month we have a sketch challenge, and if you participate in that and post your layout over on the Facebook group, you can win a prize, which this month is a $25 gift certificate to the shop. So make sure you check us out at the MercyTiara Kit Club Facebook group, which you can search for over on Facebook. So today's page did not take me all that long to create, but it was a long meandering journey to the final product. I'm going to be using this photo of my daughter and our international student. We went on a vacation to the Dominican Republic this February and had a wonderful time. And of course, when we stopped along the road to take a look at a beautiful view, the kids were only interested in taking their pictures with the cat and the ugly railing above the cat. So I just had to take a picture and also document just that idea. We are cat lovers, so we are always enthralled with cats wherever we go. I'm thinking about calling this layout Because Cats, and I was going to spell out because in capital letters using that Pink Fresh Studio puffy sticker that comes in the kit, and then putting cat in the other smaller font, but that's not going to go that way. I'm using a sketch today, as I mentioned. It's from the Facebook group challenge, and Christine Davidson, who designs these delightful sketches. They're linked in the information section below, and they were just up on the screen a second ago. But her kits are beautiful, and they are what we always use on our Facebook group for our sketch challenges because I just adore her sketches. So I'm just talking about how I might want to use this sketch. I was live streaming with my Patreons as I did this, so that's why it's a little chatty. And I am going to flip this sketch upside down as I interpret it, but I'm actually going to stray quite a ways off from this sketch at some point. I'm going to start by following it very, very closely, then I'm going to stray off, and it is no coincidence that I'm using the word stray for a layout that has a cat on it. I am familiarizing myself with the contents of this kit because even though I did design it and create this kit, I haven't worked with it yet. So I'm just kind of wrapping my head around how I might want to pull off this sketch with the selection of papers and patterns that I have. This one really appealed to me for a background, and this is from Pink Fresh from Tourist Mode. There's a bunch of different collections in this kit. So we've got Pink Fresh Sunshine on My Mind as well as Tourist Mode. And then there's also this Cartabella collection called Happy Crafting that we have as well. There's even a piece of Chamel paper in there, and lots and lots from the Simple Stories Retro Summer collection as well. So any ones that are ice cream themed or food themed, I'm just going to put aside for now. And I'm going to focus on the less themey papers in this kit. And I'm really gravitating towards some of these Sunshine on My Mind papers. And at this point, I'm thinking that I'm going to follow the sketch quite closely, which means lots of pattern paper. I'm just showing a close-up of this Swiss dot paper that comes in the cardstock add-on for the kit, because this paper's been around for ages and ages, but if you haven't used it before, it's not only dotted, it has like a very, very slight subtle texture to it. It's really beautiful. And the dots are actually not colored, like it's just the reason that you see dots on this paper is from the embossing on the paper. If you've used it, you know just how beautiful this paper can be. And I just wanted to show it in case anybody hasn't used this paper before. It's from Basil. All of the papers, all of the cardstocks in the add-on are from Basil this month, most months. And so I am going to mat these photos, and I'm just going to use some of these foam tabs. These are little foam squares from American Crafts. And I'm trying these out because I'm running out of my Stampin' Up! Foam squares. These ones are thicker than the Stampin' Up! Ones, but I like the extra dimension that they give so far. I just want to kind of see if I like them before we decide if we're going to start selling them. I think we've kind of already decided to start selling them because I know I've used them before. They've been around for ages. You probably have them in your stash, I'm sure. If you don't, you should get some because foam adhesive is very helpful to have to provide some definition between your layers and embellishments and whatnot. So as you can see, I popped up the secondary photo. This sketch doesn't have a second photo, but I'm just going with it. I'm going to put it down there. And here's where I'm following the sketch quite closely, which I don't typically do. So I keep looking back at the sketch and I'm thinking, well, I want this part of the layout to be about 2/3 because that's what it was in the sketch. And I'm cutting this piece of Pink Fresh Studio paper, and this, obviously everything I'm using today came in the kit. And it has this summer theme on it, and I thought, some of them say poolside and summer, and this was not in the summer. So I'm thinking maybe some of my embellishments will cover some of those words. I'm not really thinking it through all that well, because if I were, I would not probably go with that paper, but you'll see what happens when it comes to the time. So the sketch has a little strip along the right-hand side of this layer. So I chose this paper from Retro Summer from Simple Stories that came in the kit, and I love that paper. And I'm going to cut out another strip of it and use some of those little pieces of signs for embellishments. The sketch also calls for a strip of paper that's not flagged, so just like a regular layer. And then it also has these 3 strips of paper that are flagged to look like banners that run horizontal or vertically. So here's where I'm looking at this paper and thinking, I want to pick up on the colors, bring some pink into the page. There is pink in that floral paper that's basically the big chunk that's behind the photo, and I want to pick up on that pink. There's also red and greens and blues, but I really want to pick up on the pink because I want to use pink elsewhere. So what I decided to do was grab a couple of strips of this Retro Summer paper and just trim down. These look almost like license plates or like those little tin signs at places on the beach. And so have a really retro feel to them. And so I'm just picking some of them that don't have, I ended up picking 4 of them that don't have too much of a pool or summer theme. So the ones I picked say beach, tropical bar, tropical paradise, and surfing club. Even though none of those things are really in this photo, they were, around on the trip. And there is a beach nearby. You just can't see it because of the angle of the photo, because the photo is focusing on the cat instead of the scenery. So here's where I start to think about what am I going to do for these vertical strips that are flagged. They basically have like a fishtail banner cut out of the tops and bottoms of them on the sketch. Now, you don't have to follow a sketch super closely like I'm doing, but I find it fun sometimes to just kind of do my best to try to follow the sketch and see what I can come up with. So I cut a couple strips of this Pink Fresh Studio paper. This is the bonus piece of paper. So if you get the main kit, you will definitely get this paper. If you get the pattern paper add-on, you might not get this piece of paper because it is the 13th piece. It was a bonus because of a shipping error. So some people are getting it in the add-on and some people are not. But if you get the kit, you'll definitely get it. I love how it looks like paint swatches there, like the paint chips that you get at the paint store. So now I'm deciding to change that floral piece from Carta Bella, and I am going to use this Pink Fresh floral piece instead. And I noticed that the back side of it was also really pretty, and the sketch calls for 3 banners. And again, you don't have to follow the sketch, but I am here, so I'm going to try to cut 3 banners, but I'm actually not going to get that far before I abandon this idea entirely. So as you can see, this page is kind of a real mishmash at this point. It's not really very pulled together, but I just want you to see how much outlining all of your papers can give you a really pulled together look. Now I'm going to change my mind about these papers anyways, but it's not because they don't look pulled together, because as soon as I outline them, they start to look like they belong with one another. I'm doing 3 outlines, And as you can see, I keep my wrist fairly straight and I move mostly my arm when I'm outlining, and that helps me keep a nice straight line, because sometimes it'll curve by accident if you kind of sweep your wrist too much. And when I'm outlining really thin strips like this, I try to stay really close to the edge because there's not much pattern paper in between these outlines if I allow my line to go too far into the paper. I'm doing a triple outline here just to give it lots of boldness. And now, as you can see, I want these two to overlap, but only slightly, and I'm not putting them on the background quite yet. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually going to attach them both to this piece of scrap paper. I keep these 4x6 cards from Amazon. They're just very low quality paper, but they're pre-cut to 4x6. They're basically 4x6 index cards without lines on them. Keep those in my scrap room. I bought them in bulk and I have tons and tons of them. And so therefore I don't feel too badly about using them freely. And so that they make a good way to kind of stitch those two pieces of paper together. And so as you can see, I just attached the secondary photo to the primary photo, and the secondary photo is just a meme that I thought kind of captured the moment. The meme says, in case you're interested, it says, "When you're surrounded by thousands of years of history, but there's a cat." And it just shows this woman taking a close-up picture of a cat with like beautiful historic things all around her. And so as I think about this, there's a couple things. First of all, I keep wanting to orient it like this, kind of like over to the side with that piece of floral paper over to the left instead of centered. The sketch is calling for it to be centered, but I don't have to follow the sketch. This is kind of my default way of designing, is to put things over to the side like this. And the reason it's the left side instead of the right side is that that's where that secondary photo is. So it just kind of anchors everything. I do like this. I'm going to play around with it a little bit. You'll see me just kind of think about, okay, this is where I'm deciding, wait a second. There's a problem with that paper with all the words on it, because if I spell out "because cats," which is what I want my title to be, these letter stickers are not much bigger. In fact, I don't think they're bigger at all. They're exactly the same size as all of those words in the background that say "poolside summer," blah, 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 as you can see. So, I mean, these are darker, and you can definitely tell this is the title. It's not like you're going to get mixed up about what the title is of this. I just don't like the incongruency between, first of all, the fonts are not the same. The colors are not, like, it's... And also, I guess the other problem with it is that all of those words, and they're big. Like if they were small, it wouldn't make such a big difference, but they're big and they demand your attention, and they all say summary things, and they don't say anything about a cat. And so it's that incongruence that's really bothering me. I mean, from a design perspective, I don't like it when words compete with my title. I typically will not put a large word anywhere on my layout if it's not part of the title, because I just don't like that look. It's not wrong, and lots of people do it, and it doesn't look bad in my eyes when someone else does it. I just don't like it in my own pages. It eats away at me, you know? Do you have anything like that? Leave me a comment if you have anything that eats away at you. It's fine. Like, there's no reason to not do it. It's just you can't do it. I'm like that with this. So, anyhow, I'm changing my mind. I've found a replacement piece of paper. This is the back side of those signs. And so these two work amazing together because they are literally the same piece of paper. They're designed to coordinate very nicely together. And this is a calmer because it's a more scaled down, small pattern, tighter, closer together, neutral, and it's just crisscrosses, right? So it's not very distracting. This makes me feel a lot better. And I'm actually going to center that floral piece of paper, which goes against my natural. As I said, I typically want to shift it over to the side, especially with that secondary photo over on the left side, but I'm going to leave it centered. And this is basically the only way that I'm throwing back to the sketch, is that the sketch had that centered. And so I'm going to center it. Basically, this page looks absolutely nothing like the sketch anymore, but that's okay. So I wanted to place that background paper, like that green crisscrossy paper, in a way that I knew that there would be enough room for Because Cat. And I put it a little bit further towards the bottom than towards the top, so it's not exactly centered vertically. It's just a little bit down. And I do that with almost all of my layouts. Now, typically what I would like to have happen here is for both of my photos to be within the boundaries of Because Cat. So I'm going to do my journaling right where I was just pointing on those lines. I mean, they're horizontal lines, so they give a really great spot for journaling. I love journaling right on my paper if I can, as opposed to on a little journaling spot. Journaling spots are fun too, but I really like the look of journaling that's right on the paper. So I do want to keep those two photos within the bounds of the B and the T. And so I'm just going to kind of keep them up a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. See, I'm pointing that out right now. It gives me room for my journaling. I'm going to run those cut out signs across the bottom of the photo here horizontally. And I think that this is coming together fairly well. Now, these are the journaling bits that come in the embellishment add-on. And man, I wish that I could point to Sophie. I don't really want to point more to Sophie than to Annabelle, but I just love how this looks. But it requires me to scooch everything over to the right-hand side of this layer. And I don't really want to do that. So I play around with the idea of keeping that. I even played around with the idea of pointing it to the cat instead of to either of the girls. But yeah, this one just isn't going to work for this page. There will be another page that one will work for, so I don't have to fret about that. I'm just going to let go of that idea and move on. So these journaling pieces are larger and plainer than the shape pieces that come in the main kit, and they give you lots of space for journaling, but I also really like to use them as embellishments and just to tuck in behind things to anchor things. So I had this idea for the sunglasses to put this glaze on them. This is Nouveau Crystal Glaze, and it's very similar to Glossy Accents in that it's just like a clear glue, but it dries shiny, so you can use it to add shine to things. And I thought these glasses really should be shiny. This adds some more texture to my page. I'm always kind of mindful of all the different textures that are on my page, and I like to have lots of visual interest in my page. So that's how that looks. I'm going to put it up there to dry. But my fear is that I'm going to forget about them because I've done that before. So what I'm actually going to do, there's another one of those 4x6 cards. I'm actually going to trace it so that I know the size and shape of it. Then I'm going to just scooch it onto the other one to dry. I'm going to cut out the general shape of this embellishment. And I'm even going to label it just so that I definitely don't forget that this is where the glasses go on this page. There we go. Glasses go here. I like that rad piece because I like the angles of all the little lines on it, but I've decided that I will save that for another layout. But I really like that one with the sun, that journaling piece with the sun. So I'm going to tuck that behind. And now I'm looking at the bits and pieces that come in the main kit. So these are also from Simple Stories Retro Summer, and many of these are very pool themed. And we were not at a pool, so I'm just pulling out the ones that might work. I really love those two photos, but that are kind of stuck together on one embellishment, but I'm going to use that for another page. It's just not going to work here. I picked out a pinwheel, a little word that says holiday, a camera, in addition to the pieces that I picked out the pieces that I picked out from the journaling bits and pieces were mostly for anchoring things. So I just tucked them underneath and you barely see them. So I do like how this is looking. So I'm just going to grab a quick picture of it with my phone so that I'm going to have to commit to, before I go too far, of picking out stuff. And the next things are stickers. So once you put those down, they're down. So let's go back and actually, get some of these things adhered to the page. I'm going to start by actually tucking my pieces and gluing them onto the layers. So I tucked that one, and then I realized, wait, that was tucked a little bit too far down. And yeah, I like it sticking out just a little bit more. And then also that sun piece up in the top left-hand corner was a little bit too straight. So I just made it just slightly off, just slightly askew. And then I'll add this camera. I'm going to pop the camera up with those foam adhesive pieces. I keep wanting to call them foam dots, but they're not dots. They are squares. And I want to run these signs below where the sunglasses will be and also underneath of them. I'm thinking I'm probably going to pop up the sunglasses. And because this foam adhesive is much thicker than the foam adhesive I'm used to using, I won't have to use 2 layers of it, but I want this one to be fairly high up off my page. So let's put this there, and then let's put all of this here. That way, those things are done and I don't forget. I have been known to sometimes make a layout and then I pick it up and things fall apart because I've forgotten to glue things down. So, oh, I think that's going to look great once that's dry. I keep being tempted to touch it to see if it's dry, but it will leave a fingerprint. Now, that stuff is designed, I think it has a viscosity to it that is designed to like dry flat and spread out. So I think that even if you get a fingerprint in it fairly early in the drying process, I think it'll still even out, but I wouldn't quote me on that. Don't mess with it. Don't get a fingerprint on it if you can. But if you do by accident, all might not be lost. And you will see that I'm going to make a mistake with that stuff a little bit later, and you'll see that it's a wee bit forgiving. Sort of. So I'm just adding a couple of puffy stickers there from the Pink Fresh Studio stickers. And some of these phrases I think are really fun and add a lot to the page. This one says sweetest memories. And the one up at the top said, the puffy sticker up at the top says, let's take the scenic route. And because we were on a route, like we were literally driving on like a tourist type of road. This one says, let's get away. I thought about putting vacay up there. It felt like I needed something blue up there. And this is what I'm doing. At this point, I am purposely putting more blue on the page just to pull in more blue from both the matting of the photos and also the title, just to kind of have there be enough blue that it all kind of makes sense and looks like it belongs. I like to balance out color instead of having it just be in one spot. So I'm almost done, and I am very tempted to touch this, but it is still a wee bit sticky, so I'm going to give it a little bit more time. In the meantime, I'm going to take the confetti mix that comes in the kit. Now, this isn't exclusive to the kit. I do design a confetti mix to coordinate with each kit every month, and it will be coming in the main kit from now on. Up until now, sometimes it's been in the embellishment kit. Now, this is what I used to use for picking up sequins. It's a Stampin' Up! Tool, but it's a bit big and heavy, and it has sticky tack in it. And it actually doesn't work as well as one of these pickup sticks. So I finally got one of these. I know you all have had these for a lot longer than me, but I finally got one. I used to just pick up sequins with my fingers, and that's fine. You don't need a tool for this, but if you want a tool for this, we do sell these in our shop now. So if you get a kit, you can pick up a pickup stick as well. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm actually picking out only one color. This sequin mix, this particular sequin mix has 3 different colors in it, but each color has 3 different sizes. So I picked out the aqua green, and I am just picking out 3 different sizes of each one to put in 3 different places. And that gives me a nice visual triangle to spread around my page to kind of guide your eye around the page. I did add a little bit of those Nuvo crystal drops just to the pin of the pinwheel, just to give it a little bit of shine. And now, as you can see, I am so impressed with this pickup stick. Where have I been? Why haven't I had one of these 10 years ago? I don't even know. But it is so much easier to work with sequins when you have that. The pickup stick that I had, it wasn't called that, but the tool from Stampin' Up! Has sticky tack in it, and it actually sticks to the sequin too well, so it's harder to put it down, whereas this pickup stick is perfect. Oh, I can't believe I've been not using that my whole life. So now here's where these sunglasses were not completely dry, and I'm here adding my my foam adhesive to the back of it, just living my best life, totally oblivious to the fact that the glossy glue on the other side, the crystal drops, are like making a big blob. Like their kind of gravity is pulling it down, and it made it thicker in one part. That product, by the way, is called Nuvo Crystal Glaze, not drops. Crystal drops are something different. So as you can see, I'm just thinking, well, it kind of smooshed based on gravity into that kind of situation. So maybe if I kind of tap it and hold it a certain way, it'll smooth out a little bit. And it did. It smoothed out a little bit. It actually smoothed out a lot over time, but even just holding it up like that, it smoothed out a little bit. And as I look at it now, it's almost completely smooth, and it is dry now. It did leave a bit of a bump, but you can't really see it all that well. I'm going to add my journaling now. It says the bus ride from the resort to the airport was winding and long. Our driver stopped at this cliffside lookout point so we could get our last glimpse of this beautiful land. Of course, the girls were more interested in the adorable cat lounging on the wall than the breathtaking view beyond the kitty. I'm writing this with a slightly thicker pen. It is a 1-point pen, and my Sakura Pigma pens don't go up to 1 point, so this one is a Pigma Graphic 1 pen from Sakura. They look really similar to the Pigma Microns. It's just a thicker pen, and they come in a variety of thicker widths, I think, but I just have the one. I'm going to outline, or not outline, but I'm going to underline my journaling, but I'm using a thinner pen. I just felt like it would be too much to use that thick pen for underlining as well, so I like this look. So before I show you the still photos of this, here is what it looks like up close in video. And I also wanted to give a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters, who you will see on the screen in just a second here. These folks help make this channel happen, so big thanks to all of them. Patrons get early ad-free access to my process videos and real-time unedited versions of my videos, as well as a monthly live stream, some impromptu live streams, behind-the-scenes videos of my room and my process, and the Kit Club these days. And thanks to you also for watching all the way to the end. And here are some of those close-up photos. I really love how this one turned out. It was a lot of fun. You can see a bit of a bulge in the sunglasses there, the left lens, but it did dry even a little bit smoother than this as well. So I don't think it was as big a problem as I initially thought it might become. Obviously, this title is amazing. I love Because Cat. It's a good explanation to almost everything that happens in my house. So here are some of the places that you can find me and find the Kit Club and share your layouts yourself with us. So thanks so much for checking these out and for liking and subscribing and sharing. All of that helps my channel do well with the algorithm and YouTube. So thank you so much for watching, and have a really great scrappy week.